Hi guys. I literally always feel so awkward when I first come on a Facebook Live. It's just, you never know when the first person's gonna tune in. So for the first while, I'm literally just talking to myself. But let me just grab my notes while I'm waiting for you guys to tune in. Today I'm going to be talking about the best ways to select a weight class. And it was pretty timely because we do have a new, I don't know if what you would call it, like maybe like a guide or a PDF that's going to be coming out in the new year, all about different weight cutting techniques and how to select the best weight class for you. So if you are a weight class specific sport, then this is definitely perfect for you. If you're not in a weight class specific sport, I think you can still take a lot of these principles to selecting of, if you have a particular weight goal in mind or a number on the scale that you're looking to see, it could make you take a second look of like, what exactly is it that I'm trying to accomplish by achieving that particular number. So I'm just gonna get started because a couple of you guys have already tuned in. So when picking a weight class in a specific sport, the one that I have the most experience with, and I guess you would consider an expert in, would be in weightlifting, the Olympic style weightlifting. Any type of strength sport, picking a weight class is something that I'm very familiar with. So the first thing that you're going to want to consider is your current body weight as well as your body fat percentage. So the leaner you are as an athlete, the less weight that you can lose without also losing muscle mass, which could potentially hinder your performance. There have been particular athletes that have come to me or joined Working Against Gravity looking specifically to actually lose some muscle mass. You have a lot of athletes that reach, a guy who's maybe 200, a good example would be Matt Chan, who came to Working Against Gravity weighing 225 pounds, lean, very, very lean. And he was just looking to be lighter on his feet. He was doing more activity outside, climbing mountains, and really just wanted to be lighter. So losing muscle mass was not an issue. And losing 20 pounds, which we did, that actually did come with losing some muscle mass. So it depends on really what your goals are. But for people that are trying to make a particular weight class and you're still competing in sport, losing muscle mass could potentially hinder your performance. But of course, it's always strength per body weight ratio, so you got to see what that sacrifice is going to look like. In terms of actual numbers, women who are at 10 to 13% body fat or under, and men that are at 7 to 9% body fat or under, they definitely need to understand that going to lower body fat percentages is going to come with some risks to your health. So you're already very, very lean at those body fat percentages, like as lean as most people will ever get in their entire lives. So if that's where you find yourself, wherever you are right now is the weight class that you need to be. So even if you're 61 kilos and you're debating between going to 63 or 58, spending some time and filling out 63 is probably going to be the right call, just because going to 58 is going to potentially be a risk to your health, or you're going to lose some muscle mass. Women who are 20 to 23% body fat and up, men that are 13 to 15% body fat and up, you're going to have a much easier time cutting down a weight class with not as many negative repercussions, just because you have a lot more body fat to work with. So there still are a lot of other factors that should be taken into consideration. It's not just about how much you weigh. It's not just about how much body fat you have on your body. There's a lot of things to take into account when choosing a weight class. So one thing for sure is to consider how many calories are you going to eat. So in most cases, the weight that is most appropriate for an athlete is the weight that gives them that they can maintain with enough calories to appropriately fuel your training and recovery. That's going to be the best decision to make. So you're eating enough, you're not super hungry all the time, you're eating whole foods 85 to 90% of the time. You're also timing your food around your workouts, and you're never feeling like you're not recovering. That's going to be the best amount of calories for you to have, and whatever weight that makes you maintain, probably going to be the best decision for you there. Any drastic calorie restrictions in order to make weight are often going to result in impaired recovery, reduced sleep, your sleep quality might change, and could lead to lack of energy and just general irritableness. We've all been hangry before, so that's not something that we want you guys to suffer from. So that is something to take into account. It also, you know, sometimes you have a really hard weight cut and you still have an amazing meet, but it is important to take into consideration that the 2 to 3 weeks after you have a really drastic weight cut, your training is not going to be as optimal as it would have been if you didn't have to do that drastic weight cut. So it really is something to take into consideration. If you find yourself that you're often complaining of being hungry, or you often complain of lacking energy, moving down a weight class is probably not the best move for you. Focusing on your habits, eating high volume, focusing on what it is that's making you hungry, or eating more food and filling out the weight class above is probably going to be the better decision there. Next thing to consider is going to be your height. So if you look at weight classes, the taller athletes are more often better suited for heavier weight classes. Just taller people are generally heavier people. Smaller people are definitely shorter people. So it would not be in the best interest, you know, for a 5'7" female, which is, I'm basically 5'7", for me to be in the 53 kilo weight class. It's definitely not going to be the best call for me. I'm just more well suited for either a 63 kilo or a 69 kilo. 69 kilo is probably even a better suited weight class for me. A great strategy to figure out how tall you are and which weight class is best suited for you would be just to look up the average height of the athletes in a particular weight class. So if you find that most athletes in your weight class are significantly taller or shorter than you, it would be worth considering moving to a heavier or a lighter weight class. So if most of the athletes in your weight class are significantly taller than you, then it might be worth it to move to a lower weight class. I would also consider your age. This one I find super important, and I think a lot of people don't take into consideration necessarily, but anyone who's a younger athlete should rarely ever cut down to a smaller weight class to make weight. If you're considered a junior lifter, which is generally 21 years old or younger, I would definitely advise you to remain in the weight class that provides you enough calories to feel awesome, to grow, to mature, and where your body's going to comfortably sit. So don't put too much emphasis on cutting weight and anything that could lead to some negative associations with food, especially at a younger age. I mean, you're just trying to figure out who you are and what works best for you. So I wouldn't necessarily it's not a problem to be in the middle of a weight class. I think that's like an underrated strategy to choose. Being a 61 kilo, 63 kilo athlete is just not often used, especially for the younger athletes. But I think it's really important to just focus on building technique, fueling for your performance, and getting some mental strength in your respective sport, and not putting so much emphasis on the number on the scale or cutting weight to make weight. I would also take into consideration your goals. So cutting weight takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of precision. It takes a lot of discipline. When you have to weigh a certain amount on a specific day, you got to be really dialed in, especially if it's not a weight that your body consistently sits at. This is not an easy thing. It's not an easy task. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to reduce my calories. Like, everybody sees the weight on the scale fluctuates every single day, you know? Sometimes I fluctuate like 4 pounds in a day. It's like crazy to think that on this particular day, I'm gonna have to weigh that particular amount. So it's not a decision to take lightly. And for people that are looking to, you know, break national records, you're trying to make an Olympic team, your career depends on it, this is your full-time job, and this is where you make all of your income, then yeah, you know, it might be a sacrifice that you're willing to make, because this is what you focus on full time. So you have the time, the energy, the dedication to put towards being exceptionally precise with your nutrition. But really, if you're just looking to compete, to better yourself, to gain experience, to just have fun, cutting weight with a specific weight class in mind might just be an unnecessary added stress. Losing weight for aesthetics and improved health is as good as any reason to lose weight. But this is outside of deciding what weight class to be in. So if you're losing weight just because you want to lose weight and you want to get leaner and you want to look better and you want to feel better in your own skin, that's a totally different story than losing weight specifically to be in a lower weight class. And the last factor that I want you to consider when you're deciding what weight class to be in is stress and anxiety. So it's important to understand what kind of person that you are, what kind of athlete that you are. So an athlete that stays super close to their weight class without needing much of a cut leading into meet day, they might have less anxiety or stress. So if you're already an anxious lifter, you're already stressed out when you're going into that particular day. You know, if you're stressing about the number on the scale, you have a hard time managing your hunger, you experience nervousness before you get there, this is just going to add to that. So not sitting 2 to 3 kilos above your weight class and having to make a drastic weight cut leading into that day is probably going to be better for you than you know, just sitting at your weight or slightly underneath. I know that I definitely have a number of athletes that I work with that I would never recommend sitting above their weight class just because of the stress that it would cause on them, and it would actually affect their performance. Not necessarily because of the weight cut, but just because of the stress that it adds. So sometimes just being in your weight class all season long is going to be the best decision for you. Now, this is like the questions I would ask yourself. So my decision-making process when deciding to make weight. So I have it written out. So I would ask yourself, what is the reason that you're trying to cut weight to a specific weight class? Is it for a specific competition, like national championships, world championships, Olympics? Is it to be more competitive? Is it, are you aiming to eventually enter a bulking phase? So you're getting lean so that you can, when you go and enter a bulking phase, you're gonna gain more lean mass and you know, maintain a physique that you're happy with instead of gaining too much body fat? Are you aiming for aesthetics and overall health? Just what is it that is actually motivating you to do this cut in the first place? Because without that motivation, you're probably gonna have a hard time sticking to it to begin with. Then I would also consider the speed of the cut. So are you willing to sacrifice performance for a little bit so that you can eat less food, but you're going to get faster results? You're going to get to that weight quicker, but you might sacrifice performance along the way. Or are you going to maintain strong performance but be in a deficit for a longer period of time? So that's something to consider. And then keep in mind everything that's going to come with a weight cut. So keep in mind hunger, you're gonna have less variety in your food because you're gonna have less food to work with. There's gonna be fewer opportunities to indulge. You know, if you're trying to make weight in 3 weeks, you're not gonna be able to go out to restaurants and estimate your food or indulge here and there. It's just not gonna be as easy for you to make weight. And then there's gonna require higher degrees of consistency, precision, and that's gonna be necessary for optimal progress. I'm not trying to not cutting weight. I did it for 4.5 years. So just keep in mind, it was important to me. It was worth it to me. I wanted to win a national medal. That was very important to me. So I went to Mardi Gras and I knew that it was going to require a higher degree of consistency and precision for optimal progress. So it wasn't even a big deal for me to miss out on the things that were going on there because I was so solidified in why I was doing this. So I just want you to have the same thing so that your expectations are aligning with the work that you're actually doing. If those aren't aligned, you're going to be so frustrated, and that's the worst feeling to have. So if you're ready to commit to a cut, you can, if you're in a specific situation and you're not sure, you want to like work this out in your head, you're not exactly sure if this is right for you or if it's not right for you, then post in the comments, tell me your situation. I'll ask you some questions if I need some more information, but let me know and tag me in the comments so that I know that you've posted there, and I'll help you out. So I hope that this was informative and helpful for how to decide which weight class to be in. But that's all I have for you guys today. Have a fantastic weekend, and I hope you do something epic on WAG Unplugged tomorrow.